country. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to tonight's Board of Education meeting. Board meetings are generally held on the third Tuesday of the month. The Board of Education is a body of school district residents elected by the community in charge of conducting school-related business. The meetings are conducted under the open meeting law, but are not open forums for the community. With that being said, visitors to these meetings are to conduct themselves properly and with respect to any other individuals at the meeting. The Board of Education reserves the right to remove any individual for improper display of behavior or inappropriate language. The Board of Education will have a period of time devoted to visitor requests following any board presentations and the approval of minutes shortly after the opening of the meeting. Individuals wishing to address the board will be permitted to speak up to 3 minutes. A total of 30 minutes may be allowed for public comment. If we have any visitors tonight that request to speak, we'll go over this a little bit more carefully at that time. Hey, would you mind doing a roll call, please?
Sure. Mr. Zila?
Here.
Mrs. Epperson?
Here.
Mrs. Davis?
Present.
Mrs. Benjamin? Here. Mr. Stabell?
Here.
Mrs. Thompson?
Here.
And Mr. Healy?
Present.
Thanks, Betty. Tonight we have our final budget. I feel like it's a saga. We have lots of these to share. It's our final presentation for our budget, and during the budget presentation, we ask you just hang on to questions until afterwards. And then, if you have questions afterwards, we'd love to be able to answer them. But when the time comes, we'll just have you come on up to the mic, ask the question, so they can get picked up and then heard by people that aren't here. So please feel free, but just after the presentation's over. So this is Mr. Banzer and Ms. Walls. Go ahead, guys.
Thanks. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming to this meeting. As President Stabell said, this has sort of been like a Netflix miniseries starting back in January. Rob, if you can hit the next. Is this us?
Yep.
Okay. I'll be up there in just a second. So, we started our workshops back in January, and we've worked our way all the way to this point tonight. But before we get into the numbers, before we get into the slides, I just wanted to, just set the tone a little bit as to, what this all means and what it's all for. We sent out a video via Parent Square, just reminding people about tonight. Reminding people about the vote, but also reminding them what this means to our students. So we'd like to share that video with you. And again, before we started, there are a lot of people I want to thank. Mrs. Hilchey, really, who was the, really did all the work getting the students together and putting this together. Mrs. Underwood kind of helping put the finishing touches on that, as well as our brochure. Elijah did a great job. You'll see in a second. Rob, thank you for your technical pieces. And I also want to thank Fady, our district clerk, and Laura. All their work in putting our budget brochure, which I think everybody has, and it looks like this.
The mailing.
The mailing. Yep.
It was beautiful.
Together. Mm-hmm. So again, this is certainly a team effort, and to get to the point where we are tonight. There's been a lot of time, a lot of effort in, and we appreciate you being here and any input you might have. So if you don't mind just hitting that, and we'll get started. Just hit pause so you can...
On the speaker itself. Like that one over there, yep.
Yep.
Mr. Banzer, the interim superintendent.
Just
a reminder, we've got the budget hearing May 12th. It's going to start at 6 p.m. in the board room. Additionally, we've got a topic vote on the 19th of May, which is going to last from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
And we'd like to leave you with some reasons why we support this school district so much. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Heather Dix, and one thing I really like about the school is how many different sports it offers. It gives students a chance to stay active and work together as a team.
Hi, my name is Tegan Porter, and one thing I really like about this school is how the teachers are always willing to help the students strive every day and get better.
Hi, my name is Iris, and I like coming to school because I like to see my friends and make art and learn about things.
Hi, my name is Matthew. I like to come to school because I get to see my friends and I get to learn new things.
My name is Trevor Ennis, and I just want to say the thing I love most about Oakfield is all the opportunities that I'm given for sports.
Hi, my name is Penelope. I'm in 4th grade. I love coming to school because I'm able to do many clubs after school and before school, and I get to hang out with my friends. Hi, my name is Eliana, and one thing I like about coming to school is that I get to see all my friends.
I'm Amy Dummer. I'm a senior at Oakfield-Alabama, and my favorite thing about Oakfield is that the teachers truly care about their students.
Hi, my name is Kendall Newbold, and I'm a senior. My favorite thing about Oakfield is how everyone is involved in many aspects of the school and not just one.
Hi, my name is Kelly Kramer. I'm also a senior, and my favorite thing about Oakfield is that there's an extracurricular here for everyone.
My name is Allison Harkness. I'm a sophomore at Oakfield, and I love the sports programs.
Hi, my name is Tori Davis. I'm a sophomore at Oakfield, and I love how the small school brings everyone together.
Hi, I'm Chloe Liv, and a sophomore, and I enjoy the FFA program.
Hi, I'm Savannah Durham, and I'm a sophomore, and I love the school spirit and how everyone supports one another.
Hi, my name is Zoe. I'm in 8th grade. My favorite thing about the school is my friends and track. I'm Abby. I'm in 8th grade. A few of my favorite things in the school are my friends, track, and the drama club team.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and my favorite things about my school is the school spirit that we all have and the musical theater department.
Hi, my name is Maggie. I'm in 1st grade, and I love coming to school so I could see my friends. Hi, my name is Liam, and I love coming to school because of Miss Clark.
Again, just, we thought it was important as a reminder, we get into these meetings and we often talk about, the numbers but I just thought we wanted to set the tone and make sure everybody understands, what this is all about. And what you heard there is just, across the spectrum in terms of, what's important to our students and the things that we're able to offer. Laura, I'll let you take over here for a little bit.
All right, so quickly for the agenda, what we're going to do tonight is show you where we started in this budget process, the budget gap we had in the beginning, and how we close that gap. We'll get right into the proposed total, and from there we'll go over the expenditures and the revenue. We do have a separate Westcott position this year, so we'll discuss what's involved with that, the possibility of a contingent budget, and important upcoming dates. So where we started, as of February 17th, if you were here for that budget workshop, we had a budget gap of over $2.6 million. So on the revenue side, that is before we added any of our fund balance or reserves or our savings, if you will. That's before we discussed any kind of proposal for the tax levy. The pilots are going to be a known number at that time, so that hasn't changed. But there are a few adjustments we could try to make on the revenue side. On the expenditure side, this was before we looked for additional efficiencies and salaries, before we looked at equipment, before we looked at cutting materials and supplies. So this left us with a $2.6 million difference. So to close that gap, we need to either find revenue, cut expenditures, or a combination of both. So the proposed budget for this year is $26,999,528. That is a 9.75% increase over the current year budget. If you recall, we were in a contingent budget this year, so that was about $1 million less than our proposed budget when we took out all the non-contingent expenses. We'll go over where this 9.75% increase comes from. Our tax levy, this is the current year's. Our proposed tax levy would be a 4% increase, or $227,865. So to get into the expenditure side of things, our major cost drivers, health insurance was the #1 cost driver. The premiums have gone up 30% this year. That's an exorbitant amount, and so that was difficult working with that this year. Our liability insurance, we don't have final numbers yet. It's expected to increase 11 to 13%. Utility costs, gas and electric have gone up. Our annual salary increases for contracts, which is associated with benefits as well. As contracts increase, so do benefits. Our debt expenditures, we have the capital projects, some of that debt coming on. That's largely offset with building aid in the form of state aid. And then, of course, the removal of capital expenditures under the contingent budget. We took out $1 million worth of buses and equipment and things, which means that the aid stops flowing when those are taken out. So to get those things back in the budget would be a problem, and that's one of the reasons we have the buses on a separate proposition this year. So some of the adjustments to expenditures, we looked at staffing, reducing that through attrition, and Mr. Banzer will go over that in a moment. We reduced equipment proposals. We looked at what we really needed and what maybe we can put off for another year. We made materials and supplies reductions, and again, we removed those bus purchases onto a separate proposition to finance them separately. FFA is not being eliminated from this budget, in case anybody was questioning that. And here Mr. Banzer will go over some staffing.
Thank you. So again, we were presented with a $2.6 million problem, and there's obviously two ways to solve that problem. One side is to reduce your expenditures. We looked very long and hard, the administrators, myself, we had many meetings to figure out how we can continue with the type of programming that we want for our students that you kind of heard about on a very high level, but yet also be mindful of our efficiencies. One of the things that we did was we looked at the elementary, we looked at some timely retirements, and where there were 3 sections of elementary students with fairly low class sizes, we now are combining all grade levels at 2. At the upper grades, we're still able to section ELA and math, and again, that's a good benefit for them. That's a nice transition as they will be moving into the middle school. But a number of our staff reductions, came from the elementary school, and also timing that up with some people resigning on their own, and then some people retiring. We'll get the next one. So again, that was the elementary. Then again, we looked at where we were at the high school, and some attrition, some retirements, and we had cuts at the social studies level, science. Facts is basically for those who may not have been in school for a while. We're talking about home ec when we talk about facts, and also a tech position, half of a tech position. So we're working on a plan for those things. We have a plan. There's some challenges to recruit those positions, but again, understanding what we need to do on the expenditure side, and also being able to provide to our students what they need. A teaching assistant position, and then in the non-instructional, if you can hit it again. Yep. So we're reducing a maintenance mechanic position, or one position between the maintenance mechanic and the director position. There's a retirement in December, so we're going to transition that throughout the year. Next year, 26, 27. We are reducing our bus routes, and we will be eliminating one of our drivers will be accessed as well as a cleaner. In addition to that, we have a curriculum, an administrative position that we are also eliminating. So when we look at this, this was, this was across the board, right? We looked at everything. We're trying to maintain the program that, that our students and our community expects and that we want to deliver. But, also, there's going to be fewer sections of things, fewer administrative oversight, but these are the types of things that have to happen when we find ourselves in the situation that we do. So again, we did this in 3 slides, but this literally took, hours and hours and hours to come up with the equivalent of what are 9 cuts, 9 reductions to staff throughout the district.
So related to salaries, we have benefits. I just wanted to go over because benefits is a large expenditure in our budget. With the biggest increase, again, being that health insurance, that 30% increase equates to over $1 million for us in benefits. ERS rate went up slightly, TRS went down slightly. Our dental and vision insurance didn't have any increases. The rest of them have stayed pretty steady, but the health insurance increase really made budgeting difficult this year. So for equipment reductions, these were the asks, and in trying to balance the budget, we narrowed things down to everything on the left. You'll see security cameras in both sections because we're looking at purchasing a few more for areas in the district that were missing, and we determined we could purchase about half of them. So a mower for the slopes outside that can't safely be mowed with a regular lawnmower. Microscopes, we have an incubator, a Clavinova, drill press, library furniture, and a fuel management system for our buses. So here's our total proposed expenditures. This is our current adopted budget. This is the proposed budget. I did highlight the debt service here. That is a large increase due to the capital project, and we'll see on the revenue slides how that is offset by building aid that is starting to flow for that capital project. So for our 3 component, our 3 parts in expenditures, the program component is the educational support services for students. So that's going to be teachers and related salary, general and special education. Transportation is also in this component. The administrative component is the general support and management activities, salaries and related benefits. And the capital component is for the operation and maintaining of our buildings and bus purchases. We won't read everything on here to you, but you can see the 3 parts. And when you look at them all together, the program component takes about 63% of our budget, with the capital about 23% and administrative about 14%.
If I can just jump in.
Sure.
So, we obviously covered the expenditures one way, and then we covered them what we call the 3-part budget, and we're mandated to do that, right? So that's a requirement of the state to present it that way. So it's the same information we had presented earlier, it's just in a different configuration.
Yeah, in this part, our benefits are in each section, whereas in the previous chart, we had benefits all together. So you can see the total of benefits, but they're divided up into the components in this. So on to our revenue. Our major sources of revenue are, of course, state aid, our tax levy, and pilots. And if you add up those percentages, you can see that makes up about 90% of our revenue. To close the budget gap, we also use our fund balance and use of reserves. This is our state aid, and the notable piece here is, again, the building aid is going up over $1 million, and that's largely due to the capital project that is ongoing. As we took on debt, the building aid starts flowing as well, and that contributes to the increase of this budget as well. So the tax levy increase that we are proposing, our tax cap, our current levy is the $5,696,000. Our tax cap, when you do the formula, is over $6 million or 6.21, and the decimal goes on from there. So after looking at our revenues and expenses, decreasing our expenses as much as we could, we do need a little bit of revenue, and we are proposing a 4% increase. That's under the tax cap of 6.21% and change. Every percent increase is about $57,000. So at the 4% increase, our levy would increase about $227,000. Here's the tax levy history. So the numbers on the right are illustrated in the bar graph on the left. The yellow is the tax cap or the allowable levy increase, while the blue is the actual levy. So you can see most years the yellow is much further above the blue, as it is this year as well. Our allowable levy increase is over 6%. We're asking for a 4%. Oh, did I skip more than one?
Moved on, yeah.
Okay. So how might this affect your own household? The tax rate is estimated right now. A tax rate has three pieces, which it's very small to see, but equalization rates, assessment values, and our proposed tax levy. Right now we only have one of the three, which is our proposed tax levy. So I'm using last year's equalization rates and last year's assessed values to estimate this year's tax rate. I believe this will be less when we actually get the assessed values, because as things are built, assessments increase, that's going to reduce the tax rate per thousand. So with our proposed levy increase of 4%, your annual increase on a $100,000 home would be $65.53. That equates to about $5.46 a month.
And that's before any STAR program or anything like that. So, and again, we're not the assessing authority. I always make sure I put that caveat in there. We're not the assessing authority. That is obviously the town.
And there are different tax jurisdictions as well in our district. So this is an average tax rate as well. It would be different for each area. So another source of revenue is pilots, and this is the 26-27 year. This is the year we're going into. These pilots have stayed the same. We have plug power coming off this year, and in 26-27, Stream Data is going to assume plug power's pilot payment. Though there is no formal agreement right now, they did say they would assume that payment this year. So our pilots have only increased a few $100s overall, so that revenue hasn't really increased this year. So unclassified revenue, this is charges for services, donations, our interest and penalties. This would be on your taxes. The interest income is on our invested money. Miscellaneous and sale of surplus materials and supplies, and we do have non-resident students coming to school here, and we charge them tuition, so that's where that revenue comes from. So our unclassified revenue this year is expected to be a little over $1 million. So closing the rest of the gap, or some of the rest of the gap, we use appropriated fund balance. So how much of that you have available depends on the current year's budget performance. Once you save the 4% allowable by state, what is left over, if anything. So our 4% in 25-26 was a little under $1 million. For the current budget of the $26,999,000, our appropriated fund, or the 4% would be a little over $1 million. So our appropriated fund balance for this coming budget, as long as it would be in addition to that 4%. I'm probably not explaining that very well, but depending on how this year's budget, we are expecting a surplus when we're projecting the numbers, but that is largely made up of because we didn't buy the buses last year, we didn't buy that equipment, but our revenue really didn't change. So we're going to have that money left over. So here's our proposed revenue. These are all those categories together. Again, the state aid where we have that additional building aid. This would be the 4% increase in our tax levy. We went over the pilots that haven't really changed. Our unclassified isn't really going up. So we're making up the difference in appropriated fund balance and our use of reserves. And the reserves we plan on using are the ERS and TRS reserves. So when you put that together, now our revenues equal our expenses. We closed that $2.6 million budget gap by largely by using appropriated fund balance and reserve, a little bit of tax levy, and then reducing expenditures. So our bus purchase is a separate proposition. We're looking to purchase 2 small buses. One has a wheelchair lift and 1 large bus. This would be the debt schedule, estimated debt schedule. This wouldn't be in stone until we did the financing. And the first payment wouldn't be due to the 27-28 fiscal year. The cost of the buses would not exceed $443,000. And you can see after interest, this would be the total we pay over 5 years.
And just to clarify, we're talking about diesel buses, right? We're not talking about electric. That was somebody had asked that question. It's a very good question, and we noted that in the brochure as well. We're talking about your traditional school bus.
Yellow, right? So
yellow,
yeah.
Still yellow.
So.
Sure.
A little more of the debt service increase explained. We saw these 2 slides, our expenditure total and our building aid total. So you see the large increase in debt service and also an increase in building aid. So we did the math at the bottom. That will be our debt service payment. This is the building aid, and then this will be made up with that appropriated fund balance.
Do this?
Sure.
Yeah. So want to talk a little bit about the contingent budget and kind of the what if, and it's something quite honestly that I hope that we can avoid. So there's a balance between talking about this, right? I want to be very factual with you, but I also don't want it to come across as being threatening. But just to be real about what happens. Contingent budget is what happens if the budget doesn't pass. And there are options that the board can consider. One, it can just adopt the contingent budget after the first vote. The second thing is it can put up a new budget and have a second vote, or it could put up the same budget and have a second vote. So really those are the 3 options. And so obviously we went through this last year, and so we're trying to do whatever we can, to be supportive, to have the flexibility, to understand the needs and wants of our school community as well as our residents. We understand all that, but I just wanted to be very clear about what comes next. Where, if you want to hit, where do we where do we go if we don't go and we end up in a contingency, right? So now we're looking at about $250,000 that we have to find, $227,000 and change, right? So where are we? Well, we've already taken out, it includes equipment, but we're talking about, we have a capital outlay project, which the state will aid up to $100,000. Our capital outlay project is $50,000 because last year it was 0. We're trying to get to 50 this year. Hopefully we can work our way back to 100 so we can realize that full aid amount and still take care of our buildings and grounds. We do have this big capital project, and that's why that slide was on there, so that you can see that the debt service we're receiving is being offset by aid and fund balance that we have. But this is something like, so you need new fire doors, right? The maintenance type thing, big maintenance issues, right? So, but under the contingent budget, that has to go again. And again, we didn't do it this year, and these things start to pile up over time. But now we're talking about, modified sports. We're talking about field trips. So these are the kinds of things. This is the creep that starts to happen that we're hoping truly to avoid. But supplies, and then there was a lot of talk, I understand, and when I came in at the beginning of the year last summer about facilities use fees. If there were a contingent budget, that would continue. So again, I just want to be like what people say, like, well, what's at stake here? These are the things that are at stake. And, the analogy I've been using, people say, well, we had a contingent budget and, and the sun came up and the kids went to school and the buses rode and they ate lunch and they went to sports. That is true. That is true. And so, but the more that this happens, right? The analogy I use is the water begins to rise. Like you can still see people. They're talking to you, right? But the water is starting to rise, and it's getting a little bit harder to move, and you have fewer and fewer options. So those are the things that we would be looking at if we have to get to this point. The hope is we don't have to. And again, these are the expenditures. You can see that it is $227,865 less than the budget, which is essentially the levy increase. Same thing with the revenue. Okay, that just takes out the levy. Should we get to that point? Okay, so next Tuesday is the vote. It is 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. in this room right here. It'll be humming all day. There are a number of propositions you can see in the brochure. The first is the budget. The second is the proposition for the buses. The third, we have 3 open seats, and we have 3 candidates, 3 incumbents. And in addition to that, and this explains it in the brochure, there are some votes for the library budget and library board members, which is just something that school districts do. We do it. We're doing it, but it's not really affiliated with the district. And again, we've had some really good questions sent to us. So if you think of anything, certainly there's an opportunity tonight to have some discourse. But if you think of something after you leave and you want some more information, please email us here. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Yes.
Where's the brochure that has a budget?
So do we have any more questions for Rob and Laura? Yeah, Kevin, do we have any more questions for Rob and Laura?
No, I just want to ask a question that I know the answer to, but I want it to be very loud and very abundantly clear. Is there any proposed cuts? Are we cutting FFA at all in the proposed budget?
No.
One more time?
No.
Thank you.
We are not cutting FFA.
Okay.
Really, overall, when you look at programs and stuff, we're really not cutting any programs.
We're not cutting anything.
So even with the reduction in staff and everything else, we really haven't touched any of the programs. There's going to be some electives that looks like that we won't be able to offer. But I think as far as extracurriculars, like none of that's been touched. So I think we've really kept as much stuff in for the kids as we can, and there's still going to be some tough decisions to make, but I think all that stuff has been, and I believe the kids were put first in this budget for sure, and making sure that we can offer everything that we can for the kids with some tough decisions.
And I think that the reduction of 2 sections is a hard decision to make, but when you look at the class sizes up there, I don't think really any exceed more than 23, 24 kids, and most of them are right around that 18 mark. And I think those are manageable numbers. It is harder though for a grade level to go from 3 sections to 2 sections. It's more weight on each of those educators' shoulders. But I still believe that they're going to be very effective in the situation that they're placed in, and it's something that we're going to continue to monitor. But I do appreciate the acceptance of the 2 sections by the staff down in the elementary school. So that leaves questions for you, and I'm going to do this in order, Mr. Engel.
Well, first thing, I want to thank everybody for getting that Veterans Memorial bench.
It's beautiful. Yes, it's
I
gorgeous.
appreciate that. I'm tired on that. And then, do we have a state budget? The governor says yes, other people are saying no.
No. We don't. I mean, they have not, there's not been a final vote.
Okay.
There could be a few more dollars. I don't anticipate that Oakfield, Alabama would get much. If that would be the case, I think we'd be looking to, lower the use of reserves and fund balance, because it is a big number that we're applying to that, to our revenue gap.
I noticed you used proposed, so.
Yes.
You covered that.
Yes.
I can't remember the last time we passed the school budget
When
with
we've had a state budget.
Like,
I feel like it's much later though this year. I feel like
it is later this year.
Yeah, not later.
I got one more. How are you handling the buses now? You're proposing a diesel. You got to look forward for electric. What's the process, I guess, or program?
Yep. So as I understand it, the district a few years ago did a, we had to do a study. We've done that. There is an opportunity for a waiver. There's two things. There's a waiver that could push things beyond 2027. In addition, part of likely, well, I don't know if this would be holding up the budget, but one of the things that they're discussing is, a moratorium, a 5-year moratorium on the 2027 deadline, which I have a high degree of feeling that it is going to happen and it is going to be pushed off. I mean, the infrastructure is just not in place. I've heard it called, this is more of an aspiration than a realization at this point. It won't completely go away, but it won't be here in 2027.
Because I think buying the bus is the cheapest part. The infrastructure, putting in all the charging units.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where those districts that have done it, it's not yielding the benefits that everybody had hoped.
Well,
at this point.
Yeah, and it's not just the buses, it's the lifts that they have to have, or specialized lifts. It's the training that they have to have. So it's one of those situations where show me that it can work. No one has yet to do it. And I think if we can build our fleet back up with diesel, it's going to set us up for success further down the road. I'm not convinced that this is going to be something that we're going to have to deal with anytime soon.
But when you say 27, that's coming.
It is, but even there's a waiver to like 2030.
35, I think.
Yeah.
35.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
So yes. Yeah.
Okay. Got a handle on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Pritchett, you were here first. I was going to let you have the floor first, but Mr. Engel usurped your spot.
Well, now we're talking about buses then. That proposal for the buses, does that get added then to the budget, or is that borrowed money that we will pay over time?
It would be debt. So
It would be debt?
Yes. Because we used to have the buses in the general fund budget, we could pay for them with cash. Last year, with the contingent budget, we had to cut all equipment, which included those buses. And now you saw the original budget gap, we just can't afford to put another $500,000 on the expense side of.
But there was more to that, right, Laura? So we would pay for it in cash, and then we'd be able to resell it, and then recoup our money there, and that's because of the contingent.
Okay.
The interest expense over 5 years would be a little over $50,000. On top of that, we would have a financial advisor who would help set up the financing and lawyers.
So that wouldn't affect the budget of the tax levy?
Correct. It will not. They're separate. Right.
But there is a point there to be made. In the past, we would pay for those in cash, and then we'd be able to resell them at a higher value, and then recoup what we paid. And because we didn't have that built into our budget last year as a contingent, we couldn't do that. And so that's one of those water is coming up things that we are compensating for right now. And it would just be another case in point where we have to do that again.
And we will get transportation aid on these buses. Just the flow of that aid is interrupted by skipping the year where we don't have the expense going out and some aid coming in to flatten that line.
But all baked in the cake that isn't explicit. Like it's hard to make it known that this is another result of a contingency budget.
Yeah, and the other aspect of this is, the longer you go without replacing your buses, you're going to spend more in repairs. So that's just less overt. You can't really see it, but all of a sudden you realize you're buying, more parts and having, more complex issues that maybe you have to send out that you could normally handle. So again, by having a replacement cycle, it makes sense from a, being from a safety perspective, from a financial perspective, and we're reaping the rewards of the transportation aid as well.
So basically, in 28-29, you get that $500,000 back. Right?
Not all at once. The aid will be divided up there. Yeah, there are formulas and calculations.
But it'll start to roll back in.
It'll come back in.
Yeah, it'll start rolling again. Yes.
But because it's not rolling right now, and that's the issue. Literally,
the ball stopped rolling.
The wheels stopped rolling from the bus.
We got it.
They didn't go around. Got it.
What else, Mr. President? Any other questions?
Yes, capital projects. I know are we talking about the football field and the track, or is there other capital projects being planned?
Well, that's part of the larger, the larger work. So not only is it the football field and the track, but it's also all the work in the classrooms, the work in the swimming pool. That's all part of the project. So
was the state not supposed to pay for that $25 million field in the back? Did I misunderstand that?
They are.
Oh, they are. Okay.
That's part of the aid.
Okay.
In other words, if we didn't
pay so much so long.
Correct. If we didn't, so that's why if you show it on the expense side, it's on the revenue side as well. That's why we had that slide to say, yes, our debt service went up $1.1 million or $3 million, whatever it was, but it's offset by the aid we're getting and the fund balance, which was.
Pull that back up, Laura.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think it was this way.
Yep, that one.
And this guy.
And just to clarify, the field wasn't $25 million. There's actually more work inside. Yeah. Okay.
It's substantial, Mr. Pritchett, the amount of work that's been done inside, and I think that's a misconception by the public a little bit.
I think it's $15 million. The whole wing over here is going to be all right. It's going to be great.
Going on.
Yeah.
And I just I see the.
Well, that's
everybody else.
Stuff going on in the school. I just wondered on the capital project they haven't included it all.
Yep. Yeah. Right. Anything else, Mr. Pritchett?
I think my last question was answered when you did the presentation of the budget. I was just wondering what happened to the pilot money. I live in town of Alabama, so understand there's a lot of misconception on all the funding and everything that they have, and I was surprised Genesee. Let me get this right here.
It's a long one.
GCEDC.
Genesee County Economic Development Council.
They said you got $2.2 million over the course of the start of the thing, which surprised me. And obviously you receive it. I see you're going to get another $1 million next year. So I guess that's good. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah. Yes. Mr. Sale, any questions?
I do not have any questions, but I do want to say thank you for putting together a fiscally responsible budget is no easy task, and I'm just so proud of all of you guys.
It's so good to see you.
Look at all these Oakfield graduates. Like stepping up and being part of this process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did. As I saw you, was thinking about Mitchell biting Michaela.
Well, he had good reason to bite Michaela.
I'm sure you'd hate that I said that.
I think that'll conclude our budget presentation for tonight.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Really well done.
Both of you. All of you.
Okay. Reset here. Minutes. On to the minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of the April 14th, 2026 regular meeting be approved. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
And second is Mallory. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Faye, do we have any visitors requests?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Item 6, approval of warrants. Be it resolved that after an audit of the bills, payment of the warrants, and internal claims, audit reports be approved. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 6.2, treasurer's reports. Be it resolved that treasurer's reports for March be approved. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kevin. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, Laura, you got any good?
Well, I was just happy to be able to put together a fiscally responsible budget, and I would like to thank everybody for their help. The administrators were so helpful and collaborative with everything, coming up with ideas in like difficult situations to you work with us. That was really nice. It's a little more fund balance and reserves that I would rather use, but to save programming and jobs, I'm just happy to be able to put together this budget, and I'm happy with everybody's help. It made a difficult process easier.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks. A little easier this time around than the last one.
And hopefully next year I'll be even better.
Right?
I'll be like this.
I think one of the things that I know a lot of people say is, you're getting more conservative, you still have decreasing kids, and the budget's still a lot. Why aren't we cutting like Attica and Alexander? Why aren't we just cutting and doing the hard stuff? And I think what we represented here is so that we could continue to do what we want for the kids and the programs and to maintain as much. And again, cutting versus attrition and however you want to say it, it's reduced from last time. So, it is what it is. It is much less. And for us to go much further, I think that's the reason we're not doing 16, 17 true cuts, trying to maintain that, what we have, what we can do best. So it's not easy, and I do appreciate you guys.
Well, it's still, 5% of our workforce that we've cut this year, on top of what we cut last year?
It's true.
So you're looking at probably
16, 17 positions across 2 years for the budget.
You're looking at almost 10% of our staffing in the last 2 years.
Yeah, and then when you think about like the size of employer this is to our community base, I think that's also an important thing to remember is that if we start removing too many roles in this or in the school community, we're impacting the greater community and the ability to support what we're trying to do here too. So I appreciate all the work everyone's put in. I think it's thoughtful and considerate of the entire school community and the greater community at large that we're trying to support here. And it doesn't mean we won't have to make harder decisions next year, but we're trying to balance the best we can in the circumstances. I think that's a good point, Jackie, because people have asked that for sure.
Thank you, Laura.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Any updates?
Just a couple of things. One, I don't know if we're now experiencing a new month called Mayuary. Right? It's a little February, a little May, maybe a day of March and April, and Mayuary, right? It's serious. But really, it's been a challenge. It's been a challenge, for our maintenance folks, our buildings and grounds, and they have been working, trying to get our kids on the field as much as possible. I know Mr. Montroy, he's on the phone quite a bit, just trying to reschedule and all those kinds of things. So it has been a challenge. The last few years have been a challenge, but this one's been tough. So thank you. I just want to really give a shout out for that. At the next meeting, we will have our tenure, recipients, and our recommendation, which I will share with the board, an application for ex officio. Elijah has done a wonderful job this year, and I think the board will be pleased with who's coming next, and we'll talk more about that next meeting. I just want to, you mentioned the bench, and really the work of the National Honor Society and the students to really bring that to fruition is really a nice thing. So, we're heading into the home stretch. It's a very, very busy, 6-7 weeks, but it's also very exciting as our seniors start to, think about, kind of all wrapped up, what's coming, what's ending, and all that goes into that. And it's an exciting time for us to celebrate their accomplishments, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Thanks, Rob. Connie, any updates?
Like Mr. Banzer said, we're in this home stretch, and part of that is state testing. So 3 through 8, we've wrapped that up. AP wrapped up at the end of this week, I think, Mr. Peterson. So that piece will be wrapped up, and it's just going to be a few short weeks after that regions start. And our kids, like always, this is one thing, since I've come to this district, I'm just really proud of the way we don't identify our children as a test. We don't pressure them. There's very little stress around testing compared to other districts I've seen. I just appreciate that that's how we approach it. We prepare them, help them feel as confident as they can, but also appreciate that there's more to each little human being than what their score is.
Thanks, Connie. Heather.
So we've had some fun things lately. We had our teacher night at McDonald's, which is always fun for the kids and families. I think that they said that Oakfield had the most people that they've had of anyone show up at that. So we got that compliment. We had some fun last week just recognizing teachers and staff. Really, I think both Matt and I could say this, but I'll speak for my building, through challenging times, they show up and they have a smile on their face and they're understanding what we're going through and still doing their best. So it was a fun week to celebrate them, and we're looking forward to our family picnic next week on the voting day on the 19th. So we welcome our families and to have lunch with the kiddos, and hopefully the weather's nice so we can be outside.
That's your 2-year anniversary, right? On the picnic? Right?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm sure you have a lot more names now. What a way to start, right? That's crazy, just thinking about it.
It was wild.
Yeah, that was. Jumping
Crazy
in.
week.
Yeah. Thanks, Heather. Matt, any updates?
Before I give my update on Culture River graduate, I also want to remind the community that isn't only Teacher Appreciation Week last week, but also Nurses Appreciation Week. I'll speak from Mrs. Starkville in this building. I've worked with a few nurses throughout the course of my career, which is getting longer and longer, almost 30 years in this business. She's the best school nurse I've ever worked, period. She does everything that you would want her to do. Her communication with families is top notch. Her work ethic is great. Just a super lady. And I know Mrs. Chuddy in the elementary school, I don't work with her as closely as I used to be Children's Highway.
I hear she's pretty good, too. Yeah.
Not too shabby. I'll keep it.
So, in addition to the teachers. But I wanted to talk about Portrait of Graduate just briefly. We had a faculty meeting this week. I tried to come at it with an angle with our staff that it'll impact teachers the most when they come up with alternative ways to assess learning that go beyond paper tests or easy tests. So project-based learning and performance-based learning is going to be a focus for us moving forward, preparing for that. And I think it's a heavy lift to be able to create those from the planning level, deliver that instruction, and then assess learning. So there's some wonderful trainings in place to go through next year. We're already hooking up some teachers with those trainings, so I think we'll be ready to go.
Great. Great. Thanks, man. JC.
Just some thank yous. I very much appreciate the very patient parents, students, coaches, custodial crew who have put up with the changes, the rainouts, the reschedules, getting things ready multiple times, at a moment's notice saying, hey, can't play at their place, can we play here, can we make it happen to squeeze a game in? I call it stealing a game. The weather has not been cooperative. On top of that, the Baseball Umpires Association has so few umpires. I have this many rescheduled dates if we get rained out. So scheduling has been worse than any AD I've worked with has seen in their career. Very much appreciate the flexibility of the people we have together that are working towards that goal. Great team to work with. I appreciate all of them. It's a great place to be and a great place to have kids participating. Having said that, I can't rain a half inch tonight, please. We have March 18th is the last play date for baseball and softball, so we need to get those games played. But it's been a good run. We're having good seasons, and kids are doing great things on the track. They're doing great things on the courts, and doing great things on both the diamonds. It's been a fun spring.
I can't imagine what it looks like when you're trying to reschedule these or how
The
to
math
do it.
doesn't math very well.
No, the window just gets smaller and smaller every time it rains.
And like tonight, our varsity's playing first, JV after them, because they can only assign one set of officials. So
Is that why it's happened? That's
we're
why.
chasing daylight. Hopefully we get the whole game in for JV.
You did last night.
We made it.
Yeah.
But it's a challenge. If the school can't get here or get to there, we're lucky we able to get our varsity team there to play at 4:15. If you can't do that, if you can't start till 5, you're not getting that second game in.
And it's because of
Because of umpires, yeah. I have no rescheduled dates available except for right now I have Sunday.
Be kind to your officials.
Yes, be kind.
Yes.
So if you know anybody who's
let's
played
umpire
baseball, softball, and want to give back to the community, the Umpires Association is always looking to train more people. Actually, been doing a little recruiting from recent grads that are doing some umping at the modified level for us. Doing a great job. I'm actually hoping to get them in. But if you know anybody, always looking for more umpires, baseball, softball.
Has Section 5 ever considered moving the season out?
You can place, moving it out?
Yeah,
well,
so we don't get into this?
It
just seems a little counterintuitive.
The state meet drives when we do everything else, and they don't want any sectional games or state meet teams going anywhere near regions.
Oh.
So because it takes so long to finish out the season, we have to go back so far.
That's brutal.
Plus tripping, falling.
I was going to say, you can play soccer
Put some
and
heads
football in the
together.
mud. You can't play baseball and softball in the mud.
Right.
I'll let you do the math on what makes sense.
Get your friends together, you know, those people, instead of just making things happen. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just logic at this point.
I'll be very grateful for First Fields and the baseball softball.
Yeah, hopefully that's going to make a massive difference. I hope. Hey, appreciate it, Tracy. Thank you so much. Rob, what's going on?
A lot of the stuff happening is behind the scenes. So one of them is the auditorium project. We have so any presenter can show up with whatever device, brand, style that they have and wirelessly present to our nice big screen. Got the audio set up in there nicely too. So it could be a movie theater, it could be a presentation. Whoever's presenting can move around in the audience. You can have audience members cast their screen as well. So some really cool stuff we have now in the auditorium as we wrap up that project. The phone system project is probably an 8-month project. We're nearing the end of that. One of the neatest things, I'm not sure if I mentioned this last month, is the live 911 monitor feature. So if someone from one of our Cisco phones, like Ronnie Kevin over there, dials 911, it instantly sends the text alerts, like it always has, to all of us. But as I see room 123, and we're running to that room, it will call our cell phone. 911 will, it's a read only, so we can't interrupt the call, but it calls me, I listen, and I'm listening live to the call as it's happening. Our people on our side will dispatch on their side. If we needed to jump in, there's a key code we can press to actually be conferenced in. But we have it set right now to have a dozen staff members are going to listen live when the call happens. So that's a new feature that we couldn't do with the old system. Now that we're cloud hosted, it gives us options like that. Especially helpful if like the administrator is off-site. You actually know what's going on because you get to hear it live in real time. So that is coming to a close. We already have the Deladeo parent portal. I was told at the conference I was at last week that they're updating the parent app. So we're going to hold off on announcing it like June, and probably more so towards late July, August timeframe, so that those devices parents can decide when internet should be turned off, no YouTube, no games, whatever the case may be. The parents can do what I do when the kids are here, but obviously they're at home, control over that. So we're holding off because they have a new version coming out, so we'll roll that out in the summertime. Same as always for the 3 months we do open enrollment for the homework insurance. That has worked well for the past couple of years that we handle it ourselves in-house, and we can still keep it at $20 per device per year. Commercially, I see schools charging $55 to $65 to $75, and you're paying the third party most of that money for the pot of money that gets saved. But by us doing it ourselves at $20 a piece, not everybody does it, but those that do, it helps us cover the cost for the whole fleet of Chromebooks, especially the screens. And lastly, I was at in a couple weeks ago at the Data Protection Officers Conference. I was featured on the podcast as one of the schools that is using a lot of new technology and trying to be as allowable with things as we can, open, but yet secured down so that we have cybersecurity concerns under control. That's a very fine line to balance. That's what the podcast was about. Is how do you make it all happen and say yes when you really have to say no to some things. And I was just in, as I mentioned, the different conference last week in Sandusky, Brightstorm conference. I was able to see a really cool casting device. We're going to be testing it out. So, like, if any of us wanted to cast to any one of our screens, it's less than $100. In fact, it might be good to have at home too. It's the size of a candy bar. Plugs into your device, whatever that device is. The other end plugs into the HDMI port on whatever screen you have. And for $89, you can cast. And like normally that's like a $500 device. When I saw this there, I was like, this is the number one thing that I saw in this whole exhibit hall that like impressed me the most. So we're going to do some beta testing of that, and it might be something that we put in the hands of students as well.
Thanks, Rob. Thank you for going to all these and representing us like you do, and then bringing back, something of value.
Sure.
Really appreciate it. Okay, on to new business. Be it resolved that items 9.2 through 9.3 be approved by the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second. Pete, you can have it.
Any discussion? I just wanted to say thank you to PTO for the donation to the 6th grade class. They do so much for us, and really appreciate all the support that they give. So thank you, PTO. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Let's see here. Okay. A little bit of acknowledgement here, I think, for the class of 2026.
Yes, we have listed here our class of 2026 top 10, and so I think there was something out Parent Square social media about Michael and Elijah are valedictorian and salutatorian respectively in our top 10, and we're very, very excited to celebrate those students. They've worked very hard to get there. Peter, I don't know if you have anything else to add, but
No, I'm looking forward to their speeches at graduation. It's always fun. And Michael he's a funny guy.
Yeah.
Two great kids, the whole top 10.
Yeah.
Great kids.
Great.
Yeah. Well, congratulations and thanks for all the hard work, guys. I'm sure it's going to pay off in your endeavors moving forward. Item 12, personnel. Be it resolved that items 12.2 through 12.5 be approved by consent agenda. Any motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, time for closing remarks. Pete, we'll start off with you tonight.
First, I think the grounds people, as you're talking about the baseball fields, I remember sitting here 6 years ago, and that was always the biggest topic of how many games we used to cancel and to fight over the baseball fields.
Yeah.
And I think varsity baseball has only canceled one game, I think, this year for it, and it's the wettest March, April on record.
That's pretty crazy.
So that's a huge improvement of where we were years ago, and it's only going to get better, right? So shout out to those guys. I know that they're doing a lot of work and keeping that going. Second, I think his way of living in Oakfield. Like, I've never felt like there's so many things coming in at us from just our way of life, rural America, right? And I think that what the state's kind of trying to do to rural schools is, it's going to be, the next 2-3 years are going to be really tough on our district, on our community, just from a school district, but also, there's a lot of things going on in our area. Whether it's the SNAP project, whether it's our school budget, coming up to an election in our state by the end of this year. These are all going to play huge these are going to play huge in our district. So I think the next 2-3 years are going to be very monumental on what our way of life actually looks like going forward. And some of it's most of it's probably out of our control. But I think it's important that people, I appreciate the people that showed up tonight to be here, to hear us, to ask your questions, because there is a lot of misinformation out there, and people need to make sure that they're educating themselves and getting the facts, and not just hearing what other people have to say, because there's, unfortunately, you can't believe the news anymore, because who knows what you're getting on there, but there's just a lot of opinions and misinformation out there, and it's very important in all these aspects to get educated and to hear the actual facts, because it's going to be a pretty interesting 2 or 3 years.
Thanks, Pete. Yeah.
Yay. So, super excited. No, just kidding. Education, not simply a title or a job. It's a commitment to serving others. And I feel like in my place of work, I'm an educator as well. Being a healthcare professional, I'm always educating people to do better, to take care of themselves. And I have to endure a lot of patience for my patients. And at this point in time in the school year, I feel like we tend to lose that luster, and it gets really long. The days get long, fatigue sets in, and we kind of lose that passion and excitement. I most recently went to a class to learn a little bit more about my healthcare profession, and it just kind of built that fire back up in me and made me feel better about what I'm doing for my patients. So tonight, I wanted to encourage us all to move forward with that positivity, the creativity, and the purpose, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. June is just around the corner, and we need to show our students that we're dedicated, we're resilient, and we have a love for education. So I just wanted to put that out there. We have so much exciting stuff coming up with graduation and that amazing top 10. Those kids, I don't have any kids that are graduating this year, but I see them at every event. I see them in music. I see them in sports. I see them in the hallways, and I've gotten to know them through the things that they do. And you can tell they're a special bunch, so congratulations to all those kiddos. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do as they graduate and move forward. Unfortunately, this year has brought some rough waters, and we've had to navigate some really interesting situations. Working through the budget season, I am so proud of everything that we have put together and how the community has really stayed involved this year, and the open communication, the participation, and support makes all the difference. So when we're informed, you're informed, and I think we've reduced a lot of misunderstandings and prevented like a bunch of unnecessary rumors and division that we've had in the past. So we're strongest working together. So let's be really good Hornets moving forward and finish out May and get to June with some really positive excitement. That's it. That's all I got. Oh, and I have 2 Hornets on today. So
if you didn't notice,
I'm wearing 2 Hornets. So I always wear my Hornet proudly. However, on Mother's Day, my middle daughter thought that I needed a blingy Hornet. She's like, I noticed you wear a Hornet to all of your board meetings, so I think you should have something a little bit more blingy. So I am wearing 2 Hornets tonight, and I have to thank her for that. I doubled up on my Hornets.
And I need a furry one.
Furry one?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
This is very
blingy. An entire hive.
The whole hive.
I'm cultivating a hive.
Blingy Hornet.
You guys need bee suits, but
I'm allergic, so be careful. Yeah.
I love my Hornet trees.
I know. Fred Francis would be proud.
Francis. Great one. Building off of, yes, everything that Pete and Natalie already said, thank you to everybody, the grounds, the teachers, teacher appreciation. I feel like it's every day, every minute that our kids are here, and I greatly appreciate that. thank you to the community that do show up and come and ask questions, and I think that's great. And that's one of the things that I think right now I'm incredibly proud of Laura and Rob and everybody up here, of the openness and the receptiveness. I've really never seen it so comfortable to ask questions, to receive answers. And I know some people might struggle in still the process, because I don't think that's always been the case. Sometimes it's a little hard, or you don't ask till the very end, and it's hard to get those questions answered quickly. But I think I'd like to see this more. I would like to see more encompassed about that and collaborate from the community. That's what we are. We're here. This school is a major hub in this community. And I've always said, if you take this school out, yes, we'll have the Haxton Library, we'll have Santino's, we'll have Perryville and the gazebo and some good things and the people, but this is a very big part of this community. And if we as residents, as taxpayers, as parents, don't come and help collaborate, because I think every single person up on this board is incredibly receptive and thoughtful. And yes, we could cut 16 positions. That's probably not going to make our kids do what we really want those kids to do. And that's tough. So could we? Yes. But asking the questions and being collaborative, please come. I mean, we're pretty approachable. Maybe, for the most part. Don't ask my kids sometimes. But just ask us questions to dispel some of those things. And some of the things I've just even heard last week, I'm like, geez, these budget workshops, I think starting them sooner and starting the budget process even, when do we start this? I mean, you guys are always doing it, but January, but even sooner, like I know now, it's that spiral learning type of thing, right? Where you just hear topics and review skills over and over, months, years, and then you take on that and build, and it becomes complex, and you just learn from what you did before, and you just keep learning and keep building on that. That's how I feel my terms here have been on the board, and I do feel that I'm grasping finally, like hearing this and seeing this and approaching this in a much more, conservative, a little bit conservative, a little scary, because of the things that all culminated to this point that we don't have control over, that Pete said. There's so many things that we don't have control over. So preparing for when the ceiling and the floor drop and all that, but still being able to do what we want to do for our kids. And I think, thank you to everybody up here for being so collaborative, receptive, and helpful. And I think I would love to see more of that. It's really helpful. It really is amazing. So thank you to everybody for that. And I think that's about it.
Thanks, Jackie.
Hey, you're welcome, Justin.
Kevin?
Theme of the meeting for me is grateful. I feel like that's been going around the table a lot. Especially grateful for Heather. A few days ago, my oldest turned 5, and it was Thursday. Was the day that my grandparents, her grandparents from Pennsylvania, were coming up, and Evelyn was a little hesitant, or extremely hesitant, to get out of the car and go to school that morning, because she knew her grandparents were going to come and be there at the end of the day. And Heather came from the middle area of the drop-offs in the morning, walked down, made sure everyone was okay, even grabbed poor Evelyn from my wife, who was almost in tears.
With permission.
With permission. No one got bit. And I was very, very grateful for you intervening and bringing her into the classroom. And my wife was extremely grateful. And then the message afterwards. So not only did you help her in, you definitely sent a message within like 5-10 minutes that she was already having a great time with her friends, cool, calm, and collected. And, who doesn't love Miss Buckley that day? So she had a great day. And she had smiles when her grandfather grew up. So it was a great day for her. Echoing that, we're grateful to Rob and Laura for putting on months of amazing work, such finesse you put into the slideshows. That's why I really don't have any questions, because everything is, I feel like, amazingly put together. You can't really ask for a better job. I really hope that everyone has as much confidence as we do into the budget that you guys help prepare. And then for all the administrators, very grateful to the collaboration and the grace that you guys and the teachers will be undertaking, because there is a big ask, and you guys are going to have a lot of collaborating to do next year for the changes that we are proposing. So very grateful to you guys. Very grateful to all the kids who are in the budget the video. My little one got in there as well as a still. But all the kids that had wonderful things to say about the school district, it was great that you guys were able to see that. And then it was also placed on Parent Square so everyone at home could view the video. So grateful to Katie Hilchey for putting that on. And very grateful for the three of you for coming in, taking time out of your day to actually come visit. It's nice to have some faces in the audience with questions and some wonderful comments. Thank you very much for that. And also grateful for the admin, the faculty members, and the students that attended the superintendent interviews. We had nothing but compliments from Mr. McDonald from BOCES of how well you all were, of course, professionally behaved, and very good questions, a lot of good receptive and focus with the two candidates that we're excited to eventually get into that next chapter. So I hope you all had fun seeing the potential two candidates. And last but not least, I wanted to express my gratefulness to the three of you guys for coming back and getting back on the ballot. I am selfishly, very selfish, that you're going unopposed, because I think you guys, the hours you put in, the professionalism, the knowledge you put into all our meetings and all our messaging in between, but also the selflessness and the clear that you know there's no agenda. You guys do not come with an agenda besides making sure that our teachers have the resources they need. Our students are coming in with an amazing place to learn, and so I thank you both for coming back on, because I came into this fire, and you guys started something. I loved it, and it's going to be nice to be able to see the next chapter, especially with who's going to try to place Rob's big shoes. So thank you very much for getting back on the ballot, and go Sabres.
Thank you. That's right, you're chasing that clock.
7 o'clock. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Yes. Teacher appreciation, nurse appreciation, principal appreciation, all of those great things have happened. And, I just can't express how grateful I am for how hard everyone works and shows up for all of our children. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, not just for 1 week, but for the whole year. Also, again, thank you for the budget presentation. It was just so user-friendly. That mailing that went out, I've had so many people reach out to me and say any question I did have was answered through that mailing. So I would encourage the community to really read through that. And also, if you didn't receive one in the mail, I think you could probably stop in and grab a copy or give us a call, and we could get it emailed to you. So, and it's on the website.
Stop by my house. I got 8 of them.
Pete's got a couple. So I think it was very well laid out and reader friendly. So I know a few people put that together. So thank you for that. Thank you to the community for showing up and asking questions, to emailing questions. I just think there's so much value in having that collaborative, approach. And I think perception is reality, and we learn just as much from those conversations, and we get to see things through different lenses. So I think the best decision is an informed decision. So together, I think that we're doing that, and we're stronger for it. So thank you to the community. And I work at the YMCA. We're governed by a board. We have a CEO, which would be comparable to a superintendent, and I'm an administrator. So every year I have to come up with my annual budget for 3 school districts. And when I'm told you have to cut your budget, I know how difficult that is. I know I get so defensive immediately, and I'm like, no, I'm protecting everyone. I'm not cutting anything. And then I have to accept the reality, and then I have to have those difficult conversations. But I think trust is earned. It's not given freely. And when you have such a strong team like we have, I think people know our hearts, and they know it's coming from a place of, this is what we have to do. This is the hand we were dealt, and this is what we have to do to make sure that this place is what's best for children. So I just want to say thank you to the admin and also the the teachers and staff and faculty for being so receptive and understanding and giving grace and being flexible and just saying, okay, this is what we have to do, because I know that is not easy. So that recognition is really anybody that's, you know, in this building. And then just that video, I mean, those kiddos, like all of those things that they talked about in that video, like a lot of those were extracurricular things that make Oakfield very unique, very special. Not every district has that. And again, I work in several school districts. Justin can also, you know, attest to this as well. Like, other school districts are not having the same conversation that we're having here tonight. They're not talking about, yes, we made cuts, but through attrition, we were able to absorb that. They're talking about real pink slips that were handed out last month and people who are losing jobs and having to go seek employment. There's very different conversations being had in other districts. So I just want the community to know that we really did the best we could. We were fortunate through attrition. We were able to, you know, make cuts, so to speak. But also, I'm not sure who touched on it earlier, we're also a large employer in the community. So saving those jobs, it just kind of like trickles out to the community. So I think the video should have been set to Sarah McLaughlin in the arms of an angel. And there should have been something in the background for an extra $5.46 a month.
Saving it alone.
We can keep all of these things great, but I just feel like the video was wonderful. It was beautiful. And if you really think about it, though, like really, like the math doesn't lie. $5.46 a month is what we are talking about per $100,000. So I hope the community comes out and sees that increase is worth it. Those faces are worth it. So thank you.
Thanks, Maria.
You're welcome.
I'm up. Oh, we're going to follow that. You know, everyone has stolen a few of my notes here, but again, I think the budget process was great this year. The outcomes were challenging, but I think the clarity we provided as we walked through it was exceptional. So thank you all for all the work and effort you put into that. We know it's not easy, but one of the things I think that we mention and we talk about in here, but I know we're asking a lot of our teachers, of our staff, of our admins, and I think there's a lot of times where maybe we don't have the opportunity to say it. We do appreciate everything that we're asking people to do, and we know that the work you're doing can often feel thankless in the moment, and it's hard, and it's trying. I come from a family of educators, so I understand it can be challenging, but I think the piece of it that I try to remember, and we always talk about we're doing what's best for kids, but we're also doing what's best for long term for our community, because those kids are the future of our community, right? You look up here, we have all of us are graduates, except for one, I think, right? Yeah, from this institution, and I think we've all come back here for very specific reasons. We're proud of what we came from. We're proud of what we were able to accomplish as a result of the academics and the experience that we had here. We want that for our families and for our children and for the future generations. And I think it's easy to say like, oh, well, the kids don't need sports, or we can cut this program, or we can cut that program. But then that means families have to start making decisions about, you know, is rural life or these types of things important to me? Should I move? Should I stay here? And that's a different challenge that we would have to start considering, and there's bigger implications to those things. So I think when we get questions about, you know, why aren't we cutting positions, or why aren't we cutting deeper programs, like, there's really good reasons for that. And I think it's all about the longevity and the experience we're providing here. And I think there's an onus on us to also be fiscally responsible, but also be responsible stewards of our community and what that long-term opportunity looks like for us here. So I guess I would just say, I think I'm very proud of the work that we did. I think, you know, there's places where we would have liked to see less reserves used, but it would have really meant deep cuts for what we're able to provide to students, and long-term what we're able to provide back to our community. So that's it from me.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah.
I think, you know, it was loud and clear what we needed to do for this budget cycle. I think after it didn't pass the first time, we had a lot of different suggestions of how to communicate better, how to reach out, how to be more deliberate in our thought process, and I think we checked a lot of those boxes off. I know it's not perfect this year in how we presented, and we can probably improve from the following year, but I think the platforms that we put out there for people that had questions, I think kind of the multitude of presentations that we've provided have given or added clarity that hasn't always been there. I feel that we're doing the absolute best that we can this year with the budget that's going forward. And I am really excited that you three are coming back. You know, Kevin, it probably did feel like quite a fire that you walked into this year. But, you know, there's sometimes, you know, fires are needed to have new growth. And in this case, I think we're going to be stewards and move forward and continue what we started and hopefully come out the other side in a much better position. Overall, this has been a huge learning process for me with Mr. Banzer, and I think a lot of the things that you've shown us this year, we're going to continue to follow. Kevin alluded to the superintendent search. We're very close at this point in time right now, and we'd like to present you with a candidate very shortly. But thank you. Mr. McDonald did speak very highly, especially of you, Mr. Peterson, and your ability to kind of facilitate and be on point whenever you needed something, you were there. So thank you for doing that extra work. That's not part of your regular day, I know. And the time that people put in for those interview committees, we appreciate as well. I also want to thank the OATA to continue negotiations. We've had many meetings, and we're getting closer to a contract, and I think we'll get there sooner than later. And patience is the key, and understanding each other. Overall, I'm excited where we're heading this month and in June, and look forward to a kind of a smoother transition to the summer than what we had last year. So please come out and vote, and come to the meetings. Really, I want to thank Maria for putting information out on Oakfield Parents page. I think there's also a notion that our district runs that page. We don't. We don't manage that page. And some of the comments that are on that page, really, I don't understand. I just really don't understand where some of the not parents anymore. They're people that obviously live in the community, but boy, they don't make sense to me. And I'm not looking to have them come here for a confrontation, but I would love for them to watch the meeting. We're one of the last school districts that put the meetings out there, and I don't believe it's an open meeting unless everybody has access to it. I am not afraid to have all of our meetings documented and recorded. Find me another school in our region that does it. They don't. So I'm not hiding. No one here is hiding, and I'm not looking for a confrontation, but I'm looking for accurate dispersal of information. And some of the comments that are on there are just not. I'm going to use the word ignorant, and it's not for an inflammatory reason. It's just it just doesn't make sense to me. Watch the video, come to the meetings. We'll have discourse, and we'll try to see, what is it that we can explain to you, or maybe you just disagree at the end. But uninformed disagreements just don't make any sense to me. So thank you, Maria, for putting the budget out there. And any of us that are open and having conversations that are based on information that's true. So thank you for putting yourselves in the ring again and being willing to have that conversation. It may not always be hard. Just the idea, the comments about the sports complex. That is not a sports complex. It's an athletic area that we're going to use for years and years and years to come. And once this capital project gets finished, I would love these people that are making the comments on there to walk through our district when we have an open house and see all of our science rooms that we have and look at our ag department, which would be crazy not to have a focus on agriculture programs moving forward. So that there's not an FFA program moving forward, I don't understand where that's originating from. And I hope it stops. So for me, let's deal with truth. Let's communicate, and let's do it in a way where we're building people up and not tearing them down. So we have people that want to serve on a board for another 3 years, because it's not an easy position. It just isn't. So thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate it. I've always appreciated seeing all three of you. Either if you're walking down my street, Mrs. Hale, or riding your bicycle, or at a softball game or a cross-country meet. I appreciate your presence, and I have for 47 years of me.
Don't say that. No one wants that.
Well, that's how old I am.
Mrs. Hale's only 32. I don't know how she's.
Okay, so it's 7:30. I'd like to call the meeting to a close.
So moved.
All in favor?
Oh, do we second or?
Oh, second.
Sure.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Katie?
Motion passes.
Yes. Katie's face